Hello, YouTube. Hey guys, I'm here with Jason Zombie Collector today to do an episode of Peeling Back the Scab.
Ouch.
I don't know what that was all about.
Peeling back the scab. It hurts.
But anyways, guys, we're going to do an episode of Peeling Back the Scab with Jason. We're going to just talk about some of the things that make him tick in the hobby. See if we can dig in a little deeper and find out what makes this guy function. Hang tight. All right, guys, so we're here with Jason. We're going to start out. I want to just ask him some questions about getting into the hobby and what really pushes him with his YouTube channel and keeps him going. So,
Well, first I just want to take a moment to say I am greatly honored that you have brought me on to follow Mike Baseball Collector with our tremendous history of love and acceptance and getting to that point where we're both like able to move forward. I feel like it's only appropriate that you acknowledge that by having Mike and then going to me. So I just want to say I acknowledge that and thank you. I can't go up. Going after somebody like, of his stature, it can only make me more famous in the YouTube community with millions of subscribers. Before long, I'll take jabs out as the most loved YouTuber in the world for what we do here.
when would you say you started collecting?
When I started, sure, I would be like 85. I was born in 78, and I was probably around 7 years old or so. My dad had always been a collector. I've mentioned this on my channel many times, but I think if we come from parents who are just collectors of something, you kind of catch that bug, I think. And for me, it was my dad was always into sports cards, amongst other things. And there was a card shop called the Sports Page in Jeffersonville, Indiana. I grew up. And the owner, who has now since passed, is Ken Stout. And he very much fostered the love of me, baseball cards. He would always give us cards. Me, my brother, my dad. My brother's a year and a half younger than me. So he'd always give us cards. We'd go in there. And my dad and him together like fostered this love of baseball. And I remember distinctly in like 85 starting to get in. Like I remember the Eric Davis rookie card. And because I was a Reds fan. And I remember seeing that card. And it had a special place. But really 86 is where it took off. And then 87 we all know because of the borders of the 87 cards. But that's really the inception of my love and collecting was, like I would say, that 85, 6, and 7, and the combination of my dad and the shop owner when I really got into saying this is something I'm excited about.
Got to respond there. This was planned for you and Mike to go back to back.
Nice.
Everybody that is really involved with this channel knows that there's some history there. So I like to make things awkward and poke the bear every now and then. So
Sure.
that was an infamous plan, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
But on the top of that, with starting in 86 and 87, you had mentioned the Reds being a big push into your hobby and stuff now. What do you collect now? And if that's different from what you used to collect, how did that change?
Yeah, I mean, of course, like all of us, I'm sure, who grew up in the 80s, you know, you had your team and you had lots of, players. I mean, it seemed like at that time there were so many great players. Even though the teams might not have been that good, like the Reds weren't great in the 80s necessarily, but you had a lot of good players that played on the teams. You know, the same thing would go for the Cubs and, things of that sort. Yankees, they had a couple good players at Winfield and Mattingly and things of that sort. So, I don't really remember a lot about baseball, like games, as much as I remember about individuals. Like, because I would just love to turn on the TV and the Braves were playing all the time or the Cubs were always playing. Mm-hmm. So I just enjoyed that stuff. And as so many people say, throughout the 80s and then the mid-90s, we collected. But when I got into high school, middle school, really, high school, it kind of faded away. So, like, in the early 90s, I would say, 92 or 3, I was about 7th or 8th grade. I just stopped collecting. I kind of got out of it. To get to your question specifically, what I collect now, since then, I lived in Japan for a long time. And so, because of that, and a lot of people know my channel, know my son is half Japanese, and I started collecting the Japanese ball players that came from Japan and came here and played in America. So no matter how crappy they may have been, they never for every Yoshi Shinjo, there's an Ichiro, So, you have a lot of people like that. So my gamut runs really deep and wide when it comes to that specific hobby now for me. That's specific because it's not really a player per se. It's a whole influx of Asian players, specifically Japanese. And so a lot of times I got to watch them in the late 90s and early aughts play in Japan when I was living there, and now I got to see them play in America. Now I've been so far away from that, I don't know any of these players when they come over here. It's the first time I'm seeing them. Okay. But initially it was. And so that's my direction now mostly. I still collect Larkin for my Reds and Don Mattingly for my Yankees when I was growing up, but generally speaking, it's mostly Japanese ball players now.
Awesome. So you would definitely probably classify yourself as a player collector.
Yeah,
more
player
than
collector.
A team or set collector.
I kind of got to, I kind of, and it's a mixed blessing. I think all of us, if we're being realistic, if you say you're a certain team player, like you're a Cubs fan, I'm a Reds fan, Mike is a Rangers fan, all that stuff, but then do you want every single Cubs player ever made, every card? Does he want every Ranger? Not necessarily. Do I appreciate when people send something to me? Absolutely, of course. But I'm really more of a player collector, like you said. So, I'd rather have 500 Barry Larkins than 500 Eddie Tobinsays or 500 John Smileys or whatever the case may be. Again, not to sound like I'm not appreciative of that stuff, because I am, but I'm definitely a player collector. Like, I have binders. I don't know if you see my videos, but I'll do binder videos and stuff too. And, a lot of the players I've even mentioned this now, I don't even talk about ever because I still player collect a lot of players. Those are my focus.
Yeah. Good deal. When you said you took some time off from collecting, this is a part that I've always found interesting. And I've mentioned in many videos and in the past that I myself had took a long period off. Yes, typically, you see it runs into most people in that teenage girls kind of come in the picture
girls,
area.
Man, every time.
So,
from the devil.
What period did you take off, and if you want to explain why?
Sure. Like you said, you hit the nail on the head. I think most of us guys probably you go to junior high and definitely high school, and the ones of us who went to college or whatnot, you're focused on school, you're focused on girls, you're focused on after school, a real job, get out into the real world. If you get married, have kids, all that stuff. All that factors in. For me, I was going all around the world. Mm-hmm. I was in Japan, traveling, working, in South Korea, working, China. So, baseball cards weren't really the focus of hardly anything in my life at that point in time. And it was always in the back of my mind, like when I was living in Japan, I'd buy packs for kicks and giggles. And then I would go to Japanese baseball games, because I always call that the quadruple A, because they're not really triple A, but they're definitely not Major League Baseball. But it was always good to watch. So it wasn't like baseball was never a passion of mine, just the collecting of it. And I think that had a lot to do with it. I moved a lot. I'm now living in central Indiana, north central Indiana, but I started out in southern Indiana. I worked in Louisville, Kentucky. I moved all around south and southern Indiana, central Indiana, and where I'm at now. So, all of us have, I'm sure, very similar stories what I'm saying. So, any hobby really wasn't of any interest at that point in time. And like a lot of things, I think we can burn ourselves out of it. The one thing I've found, the reason why I haven't burned myself out of card collecting in the last going on 3 years now is because of the community. If I was just an island onto myself, I probably would have burned myself out of it because I wouldn't have nobody to share, your passion with. But since I have somebody like yourself, you're here in my house right now, we're talking, we're having this conversation, it opens up a whole other door that wasn't there for me 5 years ago or a decade ago, and so on and so forth. So for me, that's the reason why I kind of walked away from it, but it also kind of brought me back because now I don't really have that desire to be like, I've kind of hit the ceiling, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. I've learned so much in this 3 years, I just hope to continue to move that direction.
Awesome.
Sure.
So a couple things you hit on there I want to kind of touch on, just out of my own curiosity, for us guys here in the States that have never been anywhere in Asia, what is it like buying baseball cards in Asia, or Japan specifically?
Sure. Well, if anybody, if anybody follows Dane's channel, Card Tech 710, I think he goes by. He's just in Japan a couple weeks ago or a month ago on a honeymoon, and he was looking in Tokyo, of all places, for a card shop. Now, there are card shops in Japan, and Tokyo being one, obviously one of the biggest cities, if not the biggest city in the world, and he couldn't find it, and they're not everywhere. They're very few and far between, even in Japan. And so when I lived there, I lived in a town called Fukuoka, which is basically the size of Chicago, roughly. So Chicago has plenty of card shops. Indianapolis has plenty of card shops, really, and 3 or 4 in the surrounding community. Not talking about like the the donuts of the town where the surrounding bigger counties and stuff. But in Japan, what you find is they have hobby shops. Where in America, like you might have a secondhand like record store that might sell like action figures and CDs and comic books and DVDs and all that. That's the same thing over there, but if they do baseball cards too or sports cards. So that's usually how I found cards, was in those places. It wasn't like they were at Toys R Us or like their version of a Walmart or whatever. They didn't have it like that. It was not like you go and buy it. The card shops, though there may have been a few in that area, I was never aware of it. And I was pretty versed in those kind of things because I liked looking. I love going and like digging for that hard to find, dirty stuff, the stuff with the dust, the grime. I like that. And I could never find them. So those shops, those hobby shops, generally speaking, were like toy shops. But they also had a section of cards. But it was so expensive. So like one pack of like Upper Deck, like 2008 Upper Deck pack that in America maybe is a couple bucks, whatever, would be like close to $10 in Japan. And can you imagine spending $10 on just a regular pack of Upper Deck and spend $10 and get literally nothing?
Yeah, that'd be rough.
That's rough. And so I remember when they would go on sale, they would be like $4 or $5, and I'm like, woo, that's like half off. Let's go crazy. And if I hit like a Kerry Wood, I thought like I just was like lost my mind. I was like, yes. But I mean, that car is like maybe a quarter. But you know, that was the difference because it was so hard to come by. And if you found a shop, they were super expensive. And so it was definitely you had to be patient, and you had to have deep pockets if you didn't want to be patient. If you wanted, they did have wax to buy like all the top brands at the time. But I mean, again, if the box is $60 here, it's 100 there. If it's box 100 here, it's like 150, 200 there. So it just wasn't realistic, being like a family man, for me to be dropping cash on American wax boxes that you're definitely not even going to be breaking even on with the Japanese prices.
Yeah, no, that absolutely makes sense. Cool. All right, so let's jump on to the next segment. So with the YouTube community, obviously it's brought a lot of people together, especially, you know, like me and you right now sitting here doing this interview. When you first got into the YouTube community, how would you say that started? Was it from watching videos, or was there a different avenue?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was definitely watching videos. I think, again, a lot of us, and it was just probably just my being naive about the way the world works in the YouTube world. I didn't really understand YouTube per se as a creator. I didn't really understand that. And so I would be watching videos. And honestly, the first three guys, I mentioned this before in my videos, but it was Troy Rudder, who now is TTM Troy, I believe, he goes by her TTM autograph, Wesker Griff, Ed, and Mike O. Those are the three channels I got turned on to initially, and I still watch them all three today. And but then they seem to be a lot more TTM heavy, more than what, I mean, Troy still does that, but Ed and Mike has kind of moved away from that part of their channel. But I was more into it from the TTM because I do a lot of autograph collecting back in the day. This whole tub right here is full of autographs I've received over the decades. So I was initially turned on by TTMing. But then but as I mentioned, those channels, there was more baseball card related. So I started getting more into baseball cards. So one thing I do, and I think you know this to be true, is if I like your channel, I go to the very beginning of it. I've done that for every single person, and I watch every video. Maybe not every second of the video, but it's always there, and I try to make a comment. I definitely give you the thumbs up. Because I think, that's the way you get to really know somebody. Mm-hmm. So that's the initial opened me up to the YouTube world, is because I watched that. And then, I believe Ed mentioned it, and I know Mike and them, and I know Troy, all of them, had mentioned, you should be able to, tell this, not me per se, but the audience, just get out there and do it yourself. Just, whatever you're passionate about, just put the camera up and just do it. Mm-hmm. And I kind of got like, yeah, I could do this. And so that was definitely the inception of it. That was like in 2017, I believe. And now it is almost 2020. So yeah, I mean, it's been about 3 years now, but that was the inception of me learning about the world of YouTube and this niche community.
Awesome. So on that note, guys, if you are new to the hobby or just getting back into it, just to clarify some terms, TTM means through the mail. That's what a lot of autograph collectors will do, where they'll send cards, usually a donation and a letter, to the player's home address if it's on file to receive the autographed cards back. So just to clarify that.
Yeah.
But on that,
Good point.
pretty great answer there. As far as the community impact, what kind of impact has it had on you personally, as far as friendships, relationships, anything like that?
Yeah, man. I mean, like I said again, like you mentioned in the beginning when you opened it up. I mean, we're here in my kitchen right now talking. But I mean, as far as the impact, I mean, here's the thing, guys. I mean, you know, Sean's here with me right now. A year and a half ago is when I first started hanging out with people. You know, I've had Bob Lewis over in my house a couple of times. I've stayed in Bob's house, met his family for like a week. Raphael Hens Jim, who's not really in the community anymore, he's been in my house and stayed for a week in my house. You know, I hang out with Mark from Kentucky all on a once or twice a month basis. You know, JT Triple Crown 24, he was just in my house last week, crashing on my couch, and you know, we hang out on a regular basis. Alan Neal, you know, he was supposed to be with us today, you know, and and there's tons of other people I'm sure I'm not thinking off the top of my head I've spent time with and hung out with. I talked to Alex Bowman 53 on a regular basis on the phone. Caesar Pepino Man, like him and I talk and we text back and forth on a pretty regular basis. I mean, there's so many great guys in the community, you yourself, like I said, that you know that makes this hobby fun. I mean, one of the best things was Alex Bowman 53. Oh, Andrew Enough Said Cards, another great guy in this community that I talk to on a regular basis. But like it's so great. Like Alex sends me a picture and he goes, "Look what I got," and he sends me the picture of finally being able to obtain his PB Reese slab card for the final card in this set. And he says to me, "You're the first person who gets to see this."
That's awesome.
You know, and it's awesome. And like, you know, you're excited for him because he's excited for it, you know? And it's like, I've never met Alex. Obviously, I would know who he is if he walked to my door because I see what he looks like. I've never shook his hand, but he's like a real genuine guy, you know? Like, it's the same thing. I mean, like, those are guys like that I appreciate, you know? Like, Bob and I are talking, I'm going to be going to Bob's house next year and staying with him for another 4 or 5 days or whatnot. So the impact on the community, to say all that, to say the impact for me is amazing. I mean, I think a lot of us, when it boils down to it, I think you really are attracted to personalities. Because I don't collect the way Alex collects, but I like him as a person. You know, you collect the Cubs and you collect a little bit more high end than me, but you as a person I dig and we have a connection with. Bob's the same way, he's a Pirates collector. I could care less about the Pirates, but it's the person. So even though you might be showing Chris Bryant cards and Rizzo cards on your channel and you're super excited about it, I'm excited because you're excited. Am I going to go out and get a Rizzo autograph rookie card? Absolutely not.
Should.
But I should, as you said. But yeah, but I mean, those are the things that I really like because, you know, you build a true friendship with people, like I said. And a lot of times people, the one thing I will say also is about this community, kind of talked about a little bit at the opening with me and Mike, you know, is that people are passionate. You know? And sometimes people take the passion and make it personal. And for me, I'm just who I am. You know, either you like me or you don't like me. I'm a very, I think, polarizing person in some respects for some people because of what I say and how I say it. I don't really mean to be that way, but you also can't help who you are. And it's okay for you not to like, it's okay for people not to always like you. I could go to bed at night knowing that there's certain people who don't like me. Now, do I purposely want to just poke the bear in the cage and just be a jerk? No. But also, if I feel like I need to say something, I'm going to say it, and I'm not going to feel like the constraints of others. But I think that's one thing about the community, like you said, about the way it impacts me, is that I do care about other people, and I do want to see people be successful, but I also like to be able to be who I am and not worry about, like, if I'm going to be popular or not. Because I didn't care about being popular in school. I'm definitely not going to care at 40 if I'm popular or not. That's the last thing I'm going to care about. But you make friends, and you know those people, and you're going to know who those people are when you need something or count on them, they can be there for you. And I think people who really know me know they can count on me if they need something. So.
Absolutely. And, you know, I'm going to kind of add some stuff in there. And that's one thing that I really loved about this community is how much everybody has the appreciation that we have for each other. So that's one thing that I find that's really intriguing, and also kind of touch on what you were saying with you and Mike. You know, obviously you guys have squashed that, buried the hatchet. I'm just taking advantage of the situation and poking a little fun at it. Because at the end of the day, we're all grown men. We all have our lives. We all enjoy what we're doing, and there are no hard feelings out here. Yeah, it's just like real life. Everybody says things from time to time, gets under each other's skin. we have our spouts, we get back along, and we move forward.
Sure.
And when you first started your channel, was there anyone who impacted you that would extend a hand and kind of help you out with getting started, and kind of show you the ropes?
Yeah, I mean, as far as Tony, Psyched on Baseball Cards, is an awesome guy. Definitely check out his channel. He's kind of like the elder statesman, I guess, if there's a lack of better words. He sent me, I believe, my first care package, and he was very supportive of me. I think him and I probably started about the same time or close to it. At least it felt like it. I mean, he took off a lot more than me because of, I think he's very consistent, and he has a good mix on his channel where I'm kind of like a same note in a lot of ways. And he has a good mix. He does some breaks. He'll do some breaking. He'll do some slabs. He does some vintage. He's a big Ace collector, and I think that's a bigger market for Ace fans and stuff like that. And he's just a genuinely great guy. He's very knowledgeable. He's a smart guy. But he sent me my first care package. But the first time I remember him asking me for my address, I'm sure a lot of us have this, was like, I don't know this guy. Why does this guy want me to send me my address? Is he going to send me a horse head in the mail? Like a type of horse head? You know, I didn't like the idea of giving my address to strangers. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we all get taught from a young age, if you don't know the person, you don't really should be giving out your information, you know?
Absolutely.
And even though I'm an adult man, I can take care of my business. But at the same time, you still, you know, you got to think about your family and all that. But I remember thinking, like, well, I guess I'll give it a shot. I think it's a thing. I watched some videos. And then right after that was Steve, Carter's kids. He sent me a care package. It was awesome. And then just all of a sudden I learned that these people were, like, reaching out to me and saying, like, hey, they're, like, shouting me out, which I didn't know what that was. But they were like, check out Zombie Collector and all that. And he's a cool guy. He has some, this is what he does on his channel. And all of a sudden I go from, like, literally, like, 6 subs or whatever to, like, 20 or 30. And then, like, one other guy finds me, excuse me, and then he shouts me out or whatever. And, you know, that's the one thing, is this community is so gracious. And it goes back to what you said, like, you know, you have a friend who will send you that card that you've always wanted or you've mentioned, and then all of a sudden, you know, you get it. But, I mean, that's like this community. Like, sometimes those guys, the guys in this community, I mean, they're like literally like Santa Clauses throughout the entire year. Mm-hmm. I mean, I have had so many situations, like, I literally have to be careful not to cry on camera. And not that I'm ashamed of not crying on camera, because it's like an ongoing joke on my channel. Like, who will get me to be teared up? But, like, the shirt I'm wearing right now is the shirt that's Cuban Collector. See, Jonathan sent me. It was an Ichiro shirt from when he played with the Miami Marlins. Like, it was totally unexpected. It is not a $100 graded card. It's not a Pee Wee Reese, blah, blah, blah. It's an Ichiro, this shirt that you can get, I'm sure, in Miami where he lives, for, like, maybe next to nothing. I don't know if you spent $5 or $15. I don't know. It doesn't matter about the price. But it was completely caught me off guard. And I'm like, when I opened it up on camera, because I didn't know what it was, I really got a little bit caught off guard. And a lot of people would be like, I'm only going to do that for a mantle, or something like that. But it was just the thought of it, you know? Yeah. Alex Bowman 53, he sent me a Gem Mint 10 Ichiro of the cards where they're like the I forgot what they were called. It's like the painted card, like the 52 Tops look. I can't remember what they do. Like, they only make X amount of them for all these players, but they had each already sent me an Ichiro rookie card, a Gem Mint 10 Upper Deck. I didn't even know it was coming. Like, I opened up, like, even I had my son open it. I didn't even open it up on camera because I was like, I knew who Alex was, but I was like, what is this? And I opened it off camera, and, like, I literally had to be all like, and Luca was like, are you okay, Dad? I'm like, I'm fine. But it was the first time somebody sent me something that expensive and, like, that meaningful. Like, it wasn't as expensive. It was like, he had to pay for that. Mm-hmm. Like, that's not his collection. That's not like he just was sitting on it. It was like, you have 6 Rizzo autographs. You're like, you know what, dude? I'll get one of this guy. Mm-hmm. That's not his collection. His collection is 53 Bowmans. I mean, he literally went online and bought those for me. You know, and, like, Mez, there's a handful of guys. Mez did that for me. There's a handful of guys. Jesse, Think Blue 77, he sent me an autographed Matsuri baseball. Authentic baseball. I could not believe my mind was, like, blown. You know, and things like that. I mean, those are the things in this community that goes back to that you do not forget. I think when I watched Mike's thing, a baseball collector, when he said, there's certain things you just don't forget. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. He hit the nail on the head. It was literally, I mean, I won't forget. Some of those moments in my mind are stronger than moments I have in my real life with other scenarios. So,
Yeah.
anyways, yeah.
No, that's awesome. I definitely agree that the just the kindness of
Excuse me.
the other YouTubers and the community itself is pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes beyond that. I mean, you hear a lot of our channels we're talking about the YouTube community and YouTubers. But guys, it goes beyond that. Like just collectors in general, people that we're friends with, we run into. The generosity goes full extent. We just have platforms where we talk about it. And you guys could too. But I do want to touch on that, kind of going back to where we were kind of discussing the kindness of the community, and kind of back up to where you were talking about, you know, your dad collected and would give you guys cards and collection. So I've kind of got to dive into that and ask, you know, what did he collect and what kind of influence on you did that have to you, A, becoming a fan and B, collecting?
Well, my dad was your typical 50s kid. He was born in 1954, so he was a big Yankees fan. I think a lot of kids, I'm sure, in the 50s, regardless of the Yankees was your team or not, you just knew of all those players, you know, Whitey Ford, Mantle, Yogi Berra, all those guys. You know, those guys are the people you think of, DiMaggio and all that. So you have those people in the back of your head, right? Mm-hmm. And I remember my dad telling me that he would have, like, Mantle cards, like, on his spokes. And I remember, you know, we would laugh about, like now you'd be like, what are you thinking? You know, and all that. But, I mean, that was a thing back then. And so his passion for baseball in particular was, like, his main thing. And then he also, like, Indiana basketball and Notre Dame football. If you're a Hoosier, that's a typical, sometimes falls into those two categories, because Notre Dame's really good at football, IU is not. IU traditionally has been really good at basketball, not so much at football. Yeah. So you see that a lot. But baseball was like the constant. And then, you know, growing up for him, he was a young man during the Big Red Machine. He graduated in 1972, so the Big Red Machine got kicked into gear mid-'70s and had that streak of, like, great teams who, like, half the team turned into be Hall of Famers, right, or a third of the team or whatnot. And so, you know, he was a big Reds fan. He talked about going to Crosley Field with his grandparents and his dad, and then, you know, when Crosley Field became Riverfront Stadium to where it is Great American Ballpark now, he's like, you know, he's seen the transformation over the years, and we talked about it. And just, you know, he would take us to, like, Don Mattingly's restaurant in Evansville once a year during the offseason, because he knew Mattingly was there as a server, kind of hanging out with the public, because he used to be called Mattingly's 23, and that was his restaurant and from Evansville. He still has a house in Evansville and all that, but we'd go there, and Mattingly would be there. Like, he would call ahead and make sure, he's like, hey, I got 3 kids and we want to really meet you. And, you know, the head person there would be like, yeah, Don will be in the office, whatever, this weekend, whatnot. And for 2 or 3, 4 years, we'd always go down, and he would always be there for us, and my dad made sure that time would happen. It was just, you know, he was just, like, always connected every year to do something like that with us. And so it really grew a passion for me to be a Yankees fan, but really a Mattingly fan. And then, excuse me, I'm getting so emotional here. And then I transferred in 1990. I mentioned on my channel I had open heart surgery in 1990. And my dad, my uncle, was friends with the Cincinnati Reds law, like one of their head lawyers for the Reds. And so he got me in. He talked to my dad. He's like, do you think Jason wants to go and meet the Cincinnati Reds? And my dad was like, well, of course. Like, the Reds is one of his favorite teams. Barry Larkin, at that point in time, because he came out in 87, was like my favorite player, him and Mattingly. So my dad was like, yeah, Jason would love to go. And so he went and said, hey, here's essentially a sick kid who's going to have open heart surgery. Would you be able to get his father, him and his brother into see the Reds? And they were like, sure, bring them down. So I got to go to the dugout, I got to go to their like reception area by underneath their locker rooms. There we go. I couldn't think of the word. So I had to go like on the outside of the locker room area, not inside the locker rooms proper, but like their waiting area. And they had each one of the main Reds of the 1990 team who went on to win the World Series in that summer to like come and, you know, give me a minute or two of their time, talk to me and my brother, sign baseball, sign autographs. But Barry Larkin came up and gave me his batting gloves, autographed the latch on both of them, and gave them to me. They were used. It was like so amazing. And so, you know, those are the kind of things that my dad has kind of hit along the way. So I think when people go, why does he pick Larkin and Mattingly and random Japanese guys? If you know me, you know the connection I have with these players and this kind of like, you know, affinity I have for this kind of specific players and groups of guys. because of it touches me in some way.
Yeah. Absolutely, and that's kind of where I wanted to go with that. I know I've watched your videos. I've heard these stories in different videos, but
Sure.
for maybe some of my subscribers that aren't familiar with your channel or haven't seen it, I thought it would be pretty cool for them to hear that story.
Sure.
And I think it really ties in, and that's why I wanted to do these interviews, was to kind of compile all that information that everybody has in these videos. But, for guys like you and Mike and some of the other guys that I plan to interview in the future have such a massive video library that unless somebody does start from the very beginning and watch every video, they'll never compile all this information.
No
Some
way.
of it might not make sense. So
Right, sure.
I think it's pretty cool just for one spot just to kind of touch on each one of these, tie it in. So if somebody wants to jump over in Jason's channel and check it out, and guys, that's Zombie Collector, shameless plug there for him. But go check out that channel, but this will help tie in to what you will get with his channel. And I hope to do this with everybody in the community, and just bring out and show everybody the commonness we have amongst each other, but then also the separations we have with each other, which is really cool. So on that note, we got a couple hard questions. Guys, this is where I throw in the hardball questions. I would normally throw in questions converting Jason to be a Cubs fan, but as of my last interview I did on this, he so graciously hammered me below about quit trying to convert people into my fandom and more into theirs.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's all right. I'm still recouping. But anyway, so we'll get into it. So first hardball question.
Yes, sir.
At what point are you going to stop collecting Japanese players now that you're back in the States?
Probably never. Probably never going to happen, man, because that's the thing is, every year you think this pretty much dried up, like there's not that many great players, because let's be honest, like Ichiro's the only one who ever really amounted to much. Like some of them had some pretty good seasons, no taken away, but the way the Japanese system works, the posting system, a lot of them got at least a decade in Japan before they come over here, so they're already like in their they're already in their late 20s, sometimes early 30s, and by that point, as we know how baseball works, by your time you're in your 30s, you may be in your prime, and if you're lucky, you have a few years left, but, you're heading towards not your prime after that. So, for very few Japanese ball players, unless they decide to opt out of their contracts or whatever it's called in Japan, they're not coming over here in their prime anymore. They're not coming over in their prime, So you start thinking that well will dry up, but then you always hear, like, every year, like, oh, there's a new player coming over, and everybody's excited. Like, Ohtani's a perfect example of that, and the time will tell. He's still very young, so he has a very good chance of turning into something special. But, we haven't seen that yet.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, I don't think I'll ever, tire of that, because if anything, it's more ammunition. Like, if I think I've kind of, got a lot of the older guys that never really made much of themselves, they have a few hundred cards max, then I'm like, okay, I'm pretty much done with these guys. But then you have a new guy show up, like Kikuchi, who has, a bajillion cards. You pull them all the time. You talk about you got the Cooch curse. So you got to watch out for that. And it
doesn't wash off.
It doesn't wash off. It doesn't matter how much soap or bleach you use. It's always there. So you got to be but that's that's the thing. And so you will always have somebody, I think, coming over from Japan, even if they don't make a big splash. For me, it's just somebody I can follow or at least collect, because, I'm a budget collector. I think people who know my channel know I'm a budget collector, but I'm not the guy who's going to be chasing out the Roberto Clementes and the Willie Mazes and the Hank Aaron's of the world. It's just not realistic in my budget. If I can get a raw card of that somewhat decent, well, I'll be a Huckleberry. But more than likely, most of these Japanese ball players, aside from an Ohtani or Ichiro, are pretty reasonable, even their autographs or the rookie cards and all that. And for me, it's more fun to do it that way than try to chase after the hot new flavor of the month, like the Tatis, and then lose myself in the chase, and then the guy ends up being a bust. To me, I already know most of these guys are going to be a bust, so I'm not worried about it.
Yeah. And guys, just to clarify, I'm not really against Japanese cards. I just bust his chops because whenever I try to put together a care package for Jason, I realize I have 3 Japanese cards in all of my cards. So it doesn't make for a very impressive care package. So I'm trying to convert him to something I have more of that I could make a better splash with.
No, you gave me a whole stack of cards. It's like right here in front of me. This whole stack, you and I worked out a deal like right there. I mean, that's amazing.
Absolutely.
That's a lot better than 3 cards for sure. So yeah, I thank you so much.
No problem. Second hardball question. This one, I'm going to try to create a competition and a ruffle here. So we know 2 very infamous budget collectors that are out there and definitely specialize in creating content with that. And that would be you and also a friend, Mark from Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
So my question would be, who is a better budget collector?
I feel like, well, Mark's does better for more bang for his buck. He's smart, and he is patient. Like, if you go back to a lot of Mark's channel, like that at the beginning, not that you need to watch all his videos, but he specifically names his videos collecting on a budget, $100 budget for like 80s, like slabbed rookie cards, or 90s catchers, or whatever he was doing. And so you know what you're going to watch. And he was very meticulous, and he keeps it under the $100 budget. And I like that about Mark. And I mean, you can probably still do that today, even though a lot of these cards are starting to get more and more traction. Mm-hmm. And there's all these new registries and all this kind of stuff that's always out there, which I don't keep up with, but I hear about. So a lot of times these cards that are like literally probably a few bucks, and then if it's slabbed, we're talking about maybe 10 or 15. But there's a registry for it. All of a sudden it turns to 30 or 40, and all of a sudden a card that's like, I don't even know what, like just some random, like, I'm trying to think of like a random card that he would have got, like an Ivan Rodriguez or something, rookie card, now turns into a $50 rookie card that you have to pay through the nose,
yeah.
But he got for like $14. So he's definitely a better, like, I think, better quality with the money, where I just like to buy, like for me, it's like when I buy boxes or like packs, I'm just having fun.
Yeah.
Like, I still go to shows and buy individual singles and things, but I will say I can stick to a budget maybe better than him when it's not on a purpose.
Yeah.
Like, he has a purpose, he's good, but he'll come and say, I'm only going to spend 40, 50 bucks today, and then he ends up spending like 120 or whatever. Like, if I go, I'm going to spend 20 bucks, I spend 20 bucks. Like, I have self-control, and I think Mark sometimes, like, a lot of guys struggle with, this is what I'm going to spend my money on, and then he's like, oh, it's something shiny, and he, like, gets distracted. And that's okay. I mean, everybody collects the way they want. But I think he's very good about finding the bang for the buck. And he's very meticulous looking for it. So I watch the way he works at a card show, and I do like the way he does things. And but I think if you give me $20 and give him $20, I think I could do it. And I think he would be like, I'll do $24. Like, it's just a little bit different.
Good deal. I just wanted to put you on blast there, Mark, create some controversy out there. Now we got a competition for you guys. I'm looking forward to see the competitive videos coming out of a challenge. Mark challenging zombie collector. Well, on one other question, I guess I got just a couple more questions to wrap this up. Let's talk about the community in a whole with collecting, the friendships, the groups, the events, everything. What would you say have been or are a couple of the biggest things that you probably enjoy most and love the most about the hobby entirety?
Sure. Well, obviously the friendship goes without saying. That's the paramount number one. The other thing is the camaraderie. So even if, like, for instance, I'm trying to think of somebody who was like I talk to, but I'm not like the best buddies with. Let me think of somebody real quick.
Definitely JT.
Definitely JT. But like Mark, Mark
kidding,
Stowe
JT.
Sport, like Mark Stowe Sports, or like Caesar, Pepino Man. Like, I'll talk to those guys, but it's fun to talk to them. Like, we'll just chat it up. We'll like ask each other questions, just like check on each other's families. I like that. I think that's fun. I mean, you feel like you're part of a community. I know you made it sound like you have some like friends that you actually can connect with on a card level or whatever, which is cool up in your neck of the woods. I don't have that here, so it's being able to have that, even if it's on the phone, it's cool. So I mean, those two things are definitely are nice. The other thing is that even if I don't know you personally or even talk to you, like the conversation I have through my comment section on my channel, like that's the thing. If you come to my channel, you hear me say all the time, I don't care about subs. I don't care if you like me or you give me thumbs up or thumbs down on my videos. Like I don't care. But what I do care about is the comments. So like building up that again community through the comments and get to know people. I enjoy that aspect of it because you're being able to like learn from that. Like always learning, as Eric says. Of those back pages. So that those are the things I definitely enjoy for sure. And then, like, you know, on a purely superficial level, like when you go to your mailbox and it feels like Christmas because somebody sends you a care package, like it like blows your mind. You know, you don't even expect it. You know, and I mean that to me is such a great thing. And you know, I never asked for that stuff, but I definitely appreciate it. And you know, I'm always just floored by the generosity, which we already discussed. But I mean, that's definitely something that's exciting because, you know, if you have a really crappy day at work or something in your life just, you know, sucks at that moment and you're just having a rough go of it, and then that kind of thing can really just kind of brighten your day. And like I said, it doesn't have to be anything expensive or big. It doesn't be something rare. It's just the idea of somebody thought about you and just said, you know, this belongs in his collection. I mean, that to me says so much more than anything else that somebody could do. That because that is purposeful. You know, somebody's purposeful in getting that to you. They did the legwork to get it out to you. You know, that to me is those are the big things from this community for sure.
Absolutely. And that's, I mean, you said one thing on there. For me being a newer YouTuber, I want to really share with the community because I don't think it happens enough and I don't think people realize it a lot. But the comment sections of our videos, guys, that's pretty much how we all have met each other.
Yeah.
And that's where it all started. It's just commenting and talking back and forth, and then eventually we exchange information from there. Mm-hmm. So I've had people ask, like, how do you meet these guys or get to know them? Do you just go to shows or stuff like that? Mm-hmm. Yeah, but probably mostly, I would say every YouTuber that I've met has been through the comment section. Mm-hmm. That's part of it that I love is seeing the comments and talking back and forth, and you mentioning it as well. I don't think that gets emphasized enough on how important that is and the interactions we all get with each other through the comments.
Right, and I think it's one of those like dirty secrets that a lot of the bigger YouTubers have told me privately who have like close to 1,000 or over 1,000 subscribers at this point, is that it's a daunting task and almost becomes a job that they don't want to even try to participate in, is keeping up with the comment section because they've gotten so big. So, you know, and I definitely understand that, but to me, you know, I don't want to ever, not that I don't care about the numbers, but I like the fact that I might have 300 some subscribers or whatever I have now. I notice it because when I go to my page it says it. It's not something I put any stock in. But what I do enjoy is having a video I put up for like a day, and for me having like 30 or 40 views on it, and then like 20 or 30 comments is awesome.
Yeah.
That's all I care about, and I respond back to every single comment. If you go to any one of my channels, I'm sorry, any one of my videos, you will guarantee see somebody makes a comment, I respond to the comment. You see me make a comment, I respond to the comment. I mean, I might not do like 15 comments on the same thread, but if it's a new person, I'm making comments back to you to say thank you, and you reference something in my video. You know, a lot of times, sometimes people just will be like, great video. You know, they didn't see anything or whatever. That's fine, whatever. I still will say thanks, whatever. But with the people who actually say they heard me say something or a specific card I showed, and it wasn't the card in the actual like image, like the JPEG or whatever it's called, where everybody's like, I'm showing like an Otani. They're like, hey, great Otani, but that's, you know, like I showed 15 Otanis, you know? Yeah. You know, I appreciate the ones who actually spend the time to like watch the video or see something specific. I know those are the people who really watch my channel, and those are the ones I really appreciate. You know, because I don't do this whole like sub for sub thing. I want to build a community. I don't care about numbers. Yeah. So for me, it's definitely important about the character of the person I'm connecting with, like you said, and not necessarily like, well, I'm just all about building up my subs, and then like once I get YouTube famous, I'll just stop talking to people because that'll be a big deal. Like I don't care about that. Yeah. I want to continue, and like what I was getting back to is a lot of those guys have said it's too much hassle to get too big. Again, too big because, you know, some people want those big numbers, other people they get there, but they're kind of like dreaded they got there because they liked it when it was easier to maintain. Yeah. I'm happy where I'm at. Does that mean like next year, this time I'm at like 500? Who knows? But that's not what I'm shooting for. If it happens, it happens, but I don't beg for it to happen. Yeah. But I like the community of the aspect of it. Like you said, the building that through the comment section.
Absolutely. And one of the, to touch on that as well, one of the advantage I think we get with the comment section, knowing who views it, obviously we can see the analytics and all that good stuff. But, you know, the subscriber count, I don't think drives a lot of us. I mean, there is some that it definitely does drive, but there's a lot of us I don't think it really does. It's kind of an added bonus, but for me, like I personally like it, especially when I know that there are people that are hitting the bell. Because then I know that they're actually interested in the content I'm putting out. Obviously, I think me and you are very on the same page as far as putting out content because it's stuff we want to share. We love the feedback. We love the communication too. So, I like me personally, I always have the hit the like, subscribe at the end of my videos. Because if I know you're subscribed, at least you're knowing I got a new video. Maybe you're not watching them. That stinks. Maybe that's my fault. But if you are watching and commenting, I know you're actively engaging, showing some interest, and that's the part that kind of fuels me to keep putting out content.
Right.
So,
I mean,
definitely appreciate that. And I think you're on the same page too. I just don't want people to think that when we make the comments about the subscribers, because I've done it too. There's times where because we watch a lot of other YouTubers' videos, and I think we get in these moments where we're thinking, like, oh man, this is all they're after, and stuff like that. But so we kind of vent in our channel sometimes, and I definitely don't want people to think that doesn't matter, because it does. But at the same time, it's not the main motivator.
Well, for me, I mean, like I said, if you go to my channel, you'll hear me say on a regular basis that, I actually tell people to unsubscribe to me on a regular basis.
I tried, guys, but it doesn't work.
Actually, I keep getting more. So the more I say that, the more it actually encourages people to subscribe to me. But like honestly, I do agree to what you're saying to a certain degree. That you want to put stuff out there that connects with people, because that means that more people come to your channel, and that means you can build more of a community. Like from that perspective, I agree. But like, I don't care. Like, to me, I don't care if it's like, you like me or you don't like me, or you're just using me to get more subs by saying, hey man, great stuff, check out my channel. Like, you get that a lot, I'm sure, especially if you're a new YouTuber, that people, they realize you're a new person, you're a new sub for my channel. So I'm going to come to you and say something on one or two of your videos to get you to come to my channel so you'll sub, and I'll stop communicating with you now.
Yeah.
Like, to me, I don't care about that. If you're doing those kind of things, I can tell you're doing that. I will, if I did subscribe to you, I will unsubscribe to you, and I will hope that you unsubscribe to me as well.
Yeah.
Because I can tell that about people. I just don't care. Like, I honestly don't care if, all I care about is the people I've already come accustomed to. Those people are my friends. And then if I get new people to show up and they want to talk and they're doing it on a consistent basis, and I don't even put out that much content anymore because I got rid of the internet. So mine's like hit and miss. So now it's easier to watch my stuff, because before I was doing like a couple videos a week. Now I'm doing like a couple videos every 2 or 3 weeks or whatever. But the thing is that like if I see people consistently, new people making comments, I'm like, you know what? That makes me go, oh, I don't know this person. So that happened to recently with Ron Fig. I've heard about Ron from other people. Apparently he was like a guy who commented a lot but never did videos. Yeah. In the past couple of months he started doing videos. But he started commenting on my videos. I've never once knew anything about Ron, but I seen him in other people's videos, like at the National. All of a sudden he started commenting on my videos, and I'm like, this guy's been pretty consistent recently. So I went to his channel, I watched all his videos today, from the beginning to the old to the new. And now I'm a Ron Fig fan,
That's
so awesome. Ron Burgundy, now it's Ron Fig. So, it's cool. But it happens. Like I said, it takes a lot for me to, like, get out of my comfort zone at this point to find a new channel. Yeah. When Chris actually told me about you, he was like, hey, you should check out Sean. And at first I was like, no. Immediately I was just like, no. He goes, well, he lives in Fort Wayne. I'm like, okay. If he's in Fort Wayne, at least he's a local guy. I can get on board with that. So and he goes, he's a Cubs fan. I'm like, no, never mind. I'm back out of this. And he goes, but you'll like his channel. He's a good guy. He's like us. I'm like, all right. And I went to your channel, and I think that's when he had just been at it for just 2 or 3 months. And I started watching your videos, and I'm like, yeah, dude, this guy's great. Then we connected, and here we are now. But yeah, there's our few guys that I can't do that with. But usually, like, unless you're like a true guy that really keeps consistent, I don't have any use for you. And it ain't gonna hurt my feelings if you like unsubscribe to my channel. So.
Just so you know, every care package coming from me in the future is going to have a Cubs shirt.
And you know what? If it says Fukudome on there,
nope,
I'll wear it.
Nope.
Just give me that food.
I'm going to get them custom made with my last name on it.
Then we're going to be partners now.
There we go. All right.
That's
all
hilarious.
right. So just to wrap this up, guys, I want to say thank you to Jason for doing this with me again. This has been pretty awesome. We've been hanging out all night. Is there anything you want to add to everybody to kind of closing thoughts?
I just want to say, man, this community is great. If you're new, I know Sean, he's still relatively new on his channel, so there might be a lot of newer people that I don't know about that's on your channel watching your stuff that don't know about me, and that's fine. Totally fine with me. But I wanted to say there is genuinely great people in this community. You will find a lot of people who really care about you, really care about your collection, and will be completely blown away by the generosity. And I'm not talking about just getting stuff. I'm talking about just they actually care about you and your family if you let that kind of people in like that. Some people are more guarded, and that's fine, but I think it's great. And also, it's a wealth of knowledge. There are so many channels out there, and I mean, I'm sure Sean can speak to this, but like, Chris, we talked about Modern Vintage Collector. I mean, he's literally a history professor, essentially. Bowman 53 Alex. I mean, he's an actual professor at a college, and he is a wealth of knowledge. Blue Jacket 66. I mean, the guy is just like unbelievable knowledge. So even if you're not really big into the collective, you just love baseball, you just love about like almost documentary style filmmaking or like just information. There's so much out there, and I mean, there's plenty of people I'm forgetting, but I mean, there's so many guys out there. You have people like Mike O, who just knows a little bit about everything when it comes to modern stuff. Like you were talking about brand new products. Mm-hmm. He tells you the prices, how they went from here to here, the hard to find stuff, the things that you can't find anymore, the Topps exclusive stuff. I mean, there's so many people out there that if you have any itch to scratch, you can find a way to do it. But you just have to put in the time. And the one thing I also will always tell you is just be yourself. Be yourself. I mean, that's the reason why me and Mike had our like little bumps and stuff, because he's who he is, that's who I am. But like you mentioned earlier, we work things out, we're adults, but just be who you are. Like sometimes people are going to like you, and that's great. But I think if you keep true to who you are, people are going to find you. And you might not have 3,000 subscribers, you might have 300 like myself, but those people, they're at your channel, they really like you for who you are because you didn't compromise just opening wax all the time or cracking wax or just showing graded cards exclusively, because those kind of people are only there for the ooh and ah, the shock and awe, but they're not really there for the person. They're just there to see. And I think if you come to a channel like mine, you're hopefully there because the stuff I have, which is pretty much garbage for other people, or like you're there because you actually have invested in who I am. And that's what I want to be invested in, people like you, Sean, and others, is because I like the connection more than the cards. So hopefully that makes sense to a lot of your people, and I do appreciate you taking the time out of your day to come out here. I had a great time today, and I'm hoping we'll have a good time the rest of the day. But man, thanks a lot. I've greatly appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure this will be probably like the most viewed video you've ever had on your channel.
I'm sure. And also I want to add in there, guys, don't let him lie to you. He's got some nice cars. He's just blowing smoke at everybody. Anyways.
Yeah, my Todd Van Poppel collection will blow your mind.
Speaking of that, I sent Chris some of those a few months back.
Yes.
Anyways, guys, appreciate you watching the video, and hang tight for some closing thoughts. Hey guys, I appreciate you sticking around and watching the Peeling Back the Scab episode with Jason, Zombie Collector. Please leave comments down below of what you thought of the interview, how I could make it better, or if I'm doing everything right. Either way, hit the like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks again. Have a great day.